Section 47 of Christmas and Christmas Lore. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Christmas and Christmas Lore by Thomas G. Crippen. Yuletide in Thule. Before treating of the subsidiary festivals which go to complete the Christmas cycle, it seems convenient to say something of the customs that prevailed a century ago in the Northern Islands, where Scottish Puritanism was strangely blended with survivals of Scandinavian heathenism. This topic is somewhat elaborately treated in The Home of a Naturalist by B. Edmondson and J. M. E. Saxby, from which the following account is condensed. The Yuletide observances of Shetland seem to have had but little relation to the Nativity, being largely a survival from the Old Norse festival of the returning sun. The few who observed Christmas as a Christian anniversary did so according to the Reformed calendar, but the popular Yule was 25th December, Old Style, equivalent to 5th January, New Style. The Yule feast needed serious preparation. 7 days earlier was Tullia's E'en, where the Troes, or Grey folk, were thought to leave their underground abodes. These were elves, or gnomes, resembling, if not identical, with the trolls of Norse mythology, sportively malignant, and certain to do mischief at Yuletide unless due precautions were taken by "seining" the house and its occupants. 2 straws were placed across at the stile or other entrance to the stackyard. A hair was plucked from the tail of every cow and beast of burden, and these, plaited together, were placed over the door of the bier. And a blazing peat was carried through the barn and other outhouses. That night, called Helja's night, after supper, the grandmother or oldest woman in the house would spread her hands over the bed of each child, reciting an incantation to this effect: "Mary, mother, hold thy hand ever above our sleeping band. Hold the lass, and hold the wife, hold the bairn all its life. Mary, mother, hold thy hand round the infants in our land." During this ceremony the grandsire should rake the burning peats on the hearth, reciting another charm, which is now unfortunately forgotten. Famous Mass, 5 days before Yule, was deemed peculiarly holy. No work and no amusement was allowed after sunset. If this rule were broken, ill luck would surely follow. The Sunday before Yule was Biana's Sunday. Half a cow's head was boiled and eaten for supper, the skull was cleaned, and, a candle being stuck in the eye socket, it was put aside for later use. On Yule Eve a round oat cake was baked for each child, larger or smaller according to age. These cakes had a hole in the middle, and were pinched into points around the edges, probably a reminiscence of the sun wheel. After this everyone made a complete ablution from head to foot, 3 live coals being dropped into the water as a charm against the Troes. A clean, and if possible a new garment, was put on in which to sleep. But before sleeping the house was made tidy, all soiled water thrown away, all unseemly things put out of sight, all locks opened, an iron or steel blade, much feared by the Troes, was laid on the table, and a lamp left burning all night. Before daylight the good man lit the before provided candle, and carried it around as he fed the beasts, giving them better food than usual. Breakfast was eaten by candlelight, as many candles as possible being provided. The meal was as sumptuous as means would permit, and concluded, at least in the better class houses, with a draught of whip-coal. This consisted of the yolks of a dozen eggs beaten up with a pound of sugar, half a pint of rum, and a quart of cream. There was a jest that it was the tipple of the gods and heroes at their Yule feast in Walhalla. The short daylight was spent by the men and boys in a game of football, Yule being the opening day of the season for that favorite sport. No work of any kind must be done, else muckle dule will be thy share this year and mair. Dinner was eaten at sunset, as ponderously substantial as the breakfast, with as many dainties of all kinds as could be procured. The evening was devoted to dancing, but it was necessary first to seine the children against the malice of the trowes. There was a gruesome story of two bairns whom their mother left in bed, forgetting to say the charm when she went to dance in a neighbor's barn. Remembering her omission, she turned back to repair it, but the children had vanished, and the next day were found dead in a snowdrift. The trowes were fond of dancing, and would, if possible, intrude into the company of mortals during the Yuletide festivities, but they always vanished if pious words were spoken. It was, however, dangerous to talk lightly of them. From Yule to New Year's Day Old Style, no work must be done, else ill luck will follow through the year. Football by day and dancing in the evening furnished the principal occupations. But on Newer Day, work of every kind must begin, if only for a few minutes. Everything pertaining to thrift was got under way to begin the year well. Work and play went hand in hand until the Old Style Twelfth Day, 12th January, New Style, when there were social merrymakings on an enlarged scale. At the close of the day all doors were opened, a great pretense was made of driving out invisible intruders, passages from the Bible were read or recited, and iron was ostentatiously displayed to drive the trowes away. And when the next day dawned, the trowes had vanished and the Yules were ended. End of section 47.